Our goal today is to build a traditional paella de verduras, yielding a naturally gluten-free dish anchored by a highly prized, crispy, caramelized crust. To achieve that specific texture, we need two things prepared before any heat touches the pan: a wide, flat steel pan to maximize surface area, and about a liter of hot, preheated broth standing by. We also need a very specific short-grain rice, specifically bomba or calaspara. This exact grain is required because it can absorb 3 times its volume in liquid while maintaining a firm structure. Do not rinse this rice. We need to preserve every bit of the naturally occurring starch on the surface of the grain to build the final texture. Looking at these labels, we also must verify our pantry items. If you are keeping the dish strictly gluten-free, check your store-bought stock cubes for hidden wheat extracts and ensure your smoked paprika is pure without anti-caking wheat flour additives. By selecting a wide pan to encourage evaporation and using a high-absorption, unmodified rice grain, we secure the physical conditions required to cook the paella perfectly without it turning into mush. Step 1 is preparing the pan. Heat 3 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil over medium-high heat. Drop in your sliced red bell peppers, sear them until they blister, and then remove them to use as a garnish later. Next, add the green beans, mushrooms, and artichoke hearts. Let them fry for about 5 to 7 minutes until nicely browned. Then push all the vegetables to the outer perimeter of the pan to clear a space in the center. In that cleared center pool of oil, we begin building the sofragite, our core flavor base. Drop in 4 cloves of minced garlic and fry them for exactly 30 seconds. Now, stir in a teaspoon of sweet smoked Spanish paprika. You have a precise 10-second window here. The paprika must toast in the hot oil to release its aromatics, but wait too long and it will burn and turn irreversibly bitter. To protect the fragile paprika from burning, immediately pour 3 grated, skinless fresh tomatoes directly into the center. The cold liquid rapidly drops the temperature of the oil. Let the grated tomatoes simmer and cook down. Watch for the excess moisture to evaporate until it reduces into a thick, jammy red paste. This reduction traps the volatile oils from the garlic and the smoky paprika inside the concentrated tomato paste. This dense compound is what will eventually coat and flavor every individual grain of rice. With the tomato base reduced, drop the cooked white butter beans into the center. Follow that immediately by pouring the dry, unrinsed bomba rice directly over the thick tomato base. Now we execute a technique called nakarar. Stir the dry rice vigorously into the oil and tomato mixture for 1 to 2 minutes. This friction thoroughly coats the exterior of the grains in fat. You will notice the rice turns slightly translucent as the hot oil seals the outer surface. Quickly pour in the liter of hot broth along with a generous pinch of steeped saffron liquid, fully submerging the toasted rice in the pan. Season the liquid heavily. The broth should taste slightly oversalted right now because the rice grains will absorb much of that sodium as they swell to 3 times their size. Give the pan 1 gentle shake to distribute the rice evenly. Here is our strictest rule. Once the broth is in, all stirring must completely stop. Agitating the rice fractures its surface seal. The grains will violently shed their internal starch into the liquid, turning the broth cloudy and thick. Keeping your spoon out of the pan prevents that starch from escaping. Following this single rule is the mechanical difference between achieving independent, separated paella grains and a dense, creamy risotto. With the spoon retired, we rely entirely on heat control. For the first 8 to 10 minutes, maintain a vigorous boil over medium-high heat. Watch the pan closely. The exact moment the swelling rice grains first emerge above the dropping liquid line, you must drop the heat to low. If you are adding chunks of firm white fish or prawns, this low heat phase is the time to gently press them into the top layer of the rice so they steam through without overcooking. Now we build the socarat. Once the final traces of liquid disappear into the rice, crank your stove back to medium-high for 1 to 2 minutes to toast the bottom. You have to cook by sound and smell here. Listen for a sharp, popping, crackling noise from the bottom of the pan, and smell the air for a rich, toasted aroma of rice, ensuring it stops before it burns. By aggressively boiling to force absorption, dropping the heat to steam, and spiking the temperature to toast, we physically engineer 2 distinct textures in a single pan. The exact second that sharp crackling sound peaks, remove the pan from the heat source completely. Seal the pan by laying a clean tea towel or a sheet of aluminum foil tightly over the top. Let it sit untouched for 5 minutes. This off-heat resting phase traps the residual steam, allowing it to gently finish cooking the top layer of rice and settle the starches. Remove the towel. Garnish the top with the blistered red peppers we reserved earlier. Add a sprig of fresh rosemary and serve it straight from the pan with lemon wedges. When you scrape a spoon across the bottom, it should lift a rigid layer of golden brown crust, attached to bright, cleanly separated grains of rice. There are no secret culinary tricks at play here. By using a high-absorption grain, toasting the exterior in a concentrated tomato base, and keeping your spoon out of the pan, the chemistry does the heavy lifting for you.